Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Women Like Me Stories in Business. I am your host, Julie Fairhurst, and today I'm here with Carol Look. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this lady. She is extremely interesting. We're going to have a really great conversation. So I would hang in there. You're going to learn a few things, which and some helpful things as well. So have you ever known exactly what you wanted, worked hard to reach it, and then watched yourself procrastinate, retreat, overthink, or somehow get in your own way? That's me. We often call that self-sabotage. But what if that behavior that frustrates us is not proof that we're lazy, weak, or incapable, but it's there to protect us? So that's a really good shift. So my guest today, Carol Look, is an author, speaker, coach, founder, EFT master who helps people understand the deeper connection between self-sabotage, emotional safety, childhood trauma, anxiety, and success. So important to hang in for this conversation. We're going to explore a question that may feel uncomfortable, but it will also change everything. What is the upside of staying stuck? And what are we afraid might happen if we succeed? Oh my goodness, Carol, I just get shivers when I say that. I was reading it earlier and I'm like, oh, that is such a good question. Such a good question. Thank you so much for being here.
Julie, it's a pleasure. A pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. So, Carol, let's just go into a little bit of your background. So, you grew up in an alcoholic family. How did that environment shape you to understand safety, success, and emotional survival?
Well, basically, you don't want to rock the boat when someone's drinking, right? There was not terrible abuse or hitting or anything like that, but everybody was drinking all the time, right? So you learn to be in your lane. Well, I did in my lane, quiet, and don't rock the boat, right? Which means I became a people pleaser, which means I became a perfectionist, which means I procrastinated if I was scared to put anything out there. And then, of course, you grow up and then that shows up in your work life. So it showed up in jobs that I had and in how I related with my bosses. And, did I feel safe enough to have visibility in my work, or is visibility
Ah,
scary? Right. You want to keep everything, yeah, just quiet enough when people are drinking. So
yes. Well, and that's just so smart what you said about visibility because so many women are afraid of visibility and it holds us back. We live in a visible world, especially in this technology, but it really does hold us back. So you've experienced your own healing from anxiety, insomnia, trauma, grief, struggles with weight. What was the turning point that made you believe that changes were truly possible for you?
well, I think I always was looking and hoping that change was possible. But until I found a body based technique, so I do EFT, the tapping, until I found a technique that talked to your nervous system, nothing really changes. You have to
Mm.
deal with the internal part of us that records everything. So when you're growing up, if someone yells at you, your coach, your teacher, your parent, it's recorded in your nervous system. Then you become careful. If you're visible and a colleague or a friend in school is mad at you because you're doing something in sports or in singing and they're not, you record that. Oh, note to self, be careful, be quiet, don't get
Oh,
don't get too visible, right? So
oh,
I still love talk therapy. I still do talk therapy, but when I found techniques to help the nervous system, it changed everything. So that's how I got over insomnia. It
wow.
was insane. When I woke up one day and I thought, huh, I think I've been sleeping. I think I fell asleep last night. And my insomnia was anxiety driven and
Oh,
worry. And I was working in a really difficult clinic at the time. And I just worried about other people and am I doing it right? That kind of worry.
yeah, yeah.
And once I was able to calm down the nervous system, my body was tired enough to go to sleep. I turned off the monkey mind and I could just start sleeping, which of course helped my physical body enormously. I'd had a couple of tumors and things go on and
Oh,
chronic illness. And once you get enough sleep, Julie, if you start sleeping, everything changes.
Well, can you explain to anybody that might be listening to us what EFT is?
Sure. So commonly everybody calls it now just tapping. What we're doing
Yeah.
is tapping on the acupuncture points while we're focused on a distressing issue. So the two happen together. So you tune in. It's like, you bring up a computer file, you tune into this file, and if it distresses you, that's okay, because you won't be distressed for long. And then while you're focused on it, you tap on acupuncture points, and it sends calming signals to that part of the brain and the nervous system that gets agitated. So if you're
Ah,
worried about a speech you have to do in front of a group next week, bring it up. Oh yeah, I'm concerned. I'm worried about it. Tap, tap, tap. And then people, like yesterday, I did it with someone and they said, well, where did it go? Where did my worry and anxiety go? So, and everybody has a different way they see things in the future and how they look at things in their past. I joke with people, I was basically born anxious and then born into an alcoholic family where you never knew when someone was going to relapse.
yes.
Never, ever knew, which means I didn't feel safe. I couldn't
Yeah.
relax and let down and be a 15-year-old. I had to be on guard, right? So what this technique does is goes to the nervous system and says, you're okay now, even though you're thinking of this thing that upsets you. And again, that could be past, present, or future, the thing that upsets you. And you're calming down literally biologically in the system. So it changes your cortisol levels. It changes your IgA, the immunoglobulin, right? It changes all sorts of things in the cascade of hormones that happen when you get upset. So if you and I started talking about an upsetting topic, somebody could measure us and they could see that the cortisol is going up, the stress hormone, right?
Right.
It brings it down when we're tapping on the same point. So we're sending a little signal through instead of using needles, which I prefer to tap instead of needles, right? So we're tapping on it and while you're distressed and it's calming you down in the process.
Oh, that seems like a simple thing to do. Anybody could do it.
Yes, it's
You just need to
extremely
learn those points, I guess.
learn the points, and there is an art to how do you focus, what do you do, and what happens is that of course people don't want to think about the problems they're upset by, so they're distant or distracted
Ah,
while they're tapping, and they say it's not working. Well, of course it's not working because you're watching TV over here, right? So
right.
there is a, and when you've been doing it
Yes.
a long time, there is a way to do it,
Yeah.
but it's once you get into that system, the nervous system in your body, and you have the right tools, you can calm it down. So absolutely simple, yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, when someone keeps getting in her own way, what might that behavior be doing beneath the surface?
So here's what's interesting, Julie, is that people criticize, and myself too, we criticize ourselves for procrastinating, people pleasing, whatever. That's what we've been taught to do. And what you need to look at is, well, how could it be protecting you? And when I learned these questions, I was like, no, why did nobody ever ask me why I'm sabotaging myself, why I'm keeping a lid on myself, why I don't want to be visible? So we just want to say, well, how does it protect you to stay stuck? And people say, oh, don't be silly. I don't want to stay stuck. I know you don't, but you are. So there must be a good reason. Our body doesn't do things for us unless it's for a good reason, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
other flip side question that you mentioned in the intro is what could be a danger or a downside of being successful, of having the success you keep saying you want. So if you were trapped in this fear of being successful before you published your book, it would show up in your behavior. If someone says, I want to be on stages and I want to give presentations, and they keep getting in their own way, that's the clue that they're not in alignment with it. They say they want it, but their behavior is showing something else, which means you're trying to protect yourself. And once we can let the judgment go and just say, oh, hi, welcome to being human. You're just trying to be safe. Oh, okay. Then you have to unpack it a little bit and say, well, what did happen? Like I have a famous story in my book about being on the field hockey team, and the older girls were jealous because I was younger, but I was given the top position because I was good at making goals, right? That stuck with me. That really
Mm.
stuck with me. But everybody's got one from sixth grade and third grade and university and their first marriage, whatever. Everybody has stories where they learned a lesson. It's not safe to be visible. It's not safe to shine. Be careful with your success. We've just all learned lessons and we have to unlearn them. And once you
Yeah.
figure out what the lesson is, then you
Yeah.
can tap on it, and then you teach your nervous system that it's okay. Yes, this happened in the past. Someone was envious. snarky, upset with you because you were shining. And you know what? That's in the past, and this is now.
Again, I mean, easier said than
Yeah.
done, but
Yeah.
that's a great statement for us to start to say to ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so important. How can a woman tell the difference between a genuine intuition warning her to stop and fear trying to make her small?
Mm. Say that again. How can someone, if they're just afraid to
Yeah,
speak up?
yeah. If their intuition is genuine and it's warning them to stop something, or is it just fear that's trying to keep her small? Like, how do we know the difference between being in our head and something being real?
Well, it would be unusual for your intuition to say, stay small, right? That would be unusual because why would it's not good to stay small. We all need each other. I need you to be shining. You need me to be shining. So
Yeah.
the fear is really more palpable and it feels icky and it feels like, ooh, that would be dangerous. Keep asking. My answer would be keep asking the questions. Is it positive? Does it serve me to stay small? Now, if something's dangerous and someone's in a situation where someone could really hurt you badly, that's intuition saying, don't go out there in this business or this marriage or whatever, because
Yeah.
someone could hurt you. That's different than I'm afraid to be on stage. I'm afraid to publish my book. I'm afraid to give workshops. Whatever the women listening to your calls, what do they do? If they're afraid because they're afraid to be in the spotlight, then that usually takes them back to, oh, that thing that happened 5 years ago. Oh, I remember when someone yelled at me when I was at my best and they didn't like it. Oh, then you start to uncover what's really going on. Then that's
Yeah.
fear. Intuition rarely says stay small. That's again, unless
Got
the
it.
quote, truly dangerous situation and they say stay out. That's different. That involves other people that are not well, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. So, what is the downside of being successful?
So if you ask yourself that question, what could be the downside of being successful? You have to imagine yourself being successful again, being on the stage, putting out your work, publishing articles on Substack, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What do you imagine could happen as a result? What could be the consequences from other people? So that's when people will answer, no, I want to be successful. I know, but you're getting in your own way. So what's the downside? And people will say, oh, what if they find out I don't really know what I'm talking about? That's a classic imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
Someone else might say, what if I finally publish launch my website and nobody comes? What if I don't get anybody? So there's always this yes, but there. What if
Mhm.
I get a part in a play? I don't know. I'm in New York, so I've got all these,
Yeah.
a lot of actors and actresses. What if I get a part in a play and then it doesn't go very well? What if I forget my lines? What if I start dating and I attract people who are unwell,
Yeah.
unstable people. So there's always a what is your yes, but because you keep over here, you keep saying, I want that. I want to be a public speaker. I want to present at companies. I want to do, again, whatever people want. And then the gap between that and where you are, that's what we have to address. That's what we have to say. Okay, you want it, but you didn't send the proposal in. Huh. You want it,
Yeah.
but you didn't put your profile on the dating app. We just have to be good detectives and say, okay, my behavior is showing me that there is a downside. What is it? Do you feel exposed? Some people say, oh, ooh, don't put me in the spotlight, but they keep talking about being in the spotlight. Oh,
Right.
I want to be visible. I want to have 50,000 on YouTube. And then they don't do what they need to do to follow up, which means that actually scares them. Finding out which for each person, what scares you about spotlight. You're different than I'm different. We all have different backgrounds. What is it that makes you feel nervous or unsafe about being shining, successful, out loud? What about that scares you? Everybody has their own answers, but we have to ask
Yeah.
a question to get to the answer.
We have to definitely we have to ask the right questions of ourselves. Well, tell us about your book, The Yes Code. I see it sitting there beside you.
The yes code is my ultra simple process of how I take people through being able to get from where they are to where they want to be. So you clarify your vision. Everybody does that, but a lot of people do it in a shorthanded way. Clarify your vision. Then why aren't you there yet? what's your theory about why aren't you there yet? So you need to ask the questions, what would be the upside of not getting there? The upside of staying stuck or just in a holding pattern. You know how people loop, they loop in their business, the same thing year after year. What's the upside of that? And what's the downside? If you got what you want, what you put on your list as, this is my goal, this is what I want, what scares you about it? What makes your system go, ooh, and then you procrastinate or avoid, right? Then we do that. I do tapping is my favorite technique. I've done it for years, helping people release the emotions and the limiting beliefs, right? The behavior shows up first. We have to back into it to the emotions and the limiting beliefs. Our culture, Julie, here has all been about behavior, change your behavior, right? Go to the gym, clean up your clutter, lose the weight, do this, do that, we need to get to the feelings and the beliefs, or nothing changes in the behavior. If you want different results, you're going to have to deal with your feelings and your beliefs, right? So then you ask the questions, then you do the treatment, the tapping is what I do, or you could journal and you can do all sorts of other techniques, but that's my favorite technique. Then I help people find their next yes. What do you mean? Well, just a little. If you want to get divorced, maybe you don't call the divorce lawyer. Maybe you have a conversation in mediation with your partner, right? Maybe you don't jump to a $20,000 coaching program. Maybe you check it out and ask people for references. All sorts of things. We're always trying to go 0 to 100. How about taking a small step that that your system can tolerate? That's what I call your next yes, and feel comfortable with it. Trust your intuition and say, that's my next step. I don't need to do 7 steps ahead. I just need to get information. Oh, okay. I just need to collect the information that I need. Oh, okay. I need to call 2 people. Whatever what you can tolerate. And then if there's any friction, then you keep tapping until it's like, oh, I can do that one. I can be on a stage with 100 people in the room, but I'm not going to be on a stage with 500. I'm not ready for that yet. Okay. 1 yes at a time. So that's my very simple process that I go through and have tapping in it.
Yeah, it makes sense because you're just building. You're building on one step, you're building on the next. Okay, got that. I'm good with that. Now on to the next. But you're right. We want to go for the stars. We want to get in the rocket and just shoot over there.
Which, I worked in the addictions field a long time and a lot of weight loss issues. And people would say, I want to lose 30 pounds. Great. Can you picture losing 10? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Can you picture losing 15? And they'd say, what? And that would be an indication that something happened 15 pounds ago that scared them, that makes them feel exposed or whatever. Well, you can do that with money too. So people say, I want to make $1 million. Really?
Yeah.
How are you doing at 150? Good. Okay, now imagine making 200,000. And they go, ooh. But you don't find that out when you jump from 0 to 1 million. You can only find it out if you check incrementally. Well, how would that feel to you if you publish 2 articles? I can do that. How would it feel to you if you publish your book? What? Because it's unconscious. But we don't think that. We're just trying to go. We're just shooting for the stars, which is fine. Yeah. Shoot for the stars. But you also can't get there if you have these natural blocks to success because you were taught to be quiet, taught to stay under the radar, taught to just be careful. Everybody thinks they have fear of failure, but most people have fear of success. Fear of what it's going to look like. What is the landscape going to look like when you're presenting on your book or doing a podcast? What's going to change? What's it going to look like? So we have to be able to test it sort of as we go, because everybody says they want these huge, massive dreams, and they have no system to get there.
Yes. Yeah. We all have dealt with failure, so that's common. It's the success, absolutely, that is unusual and unfamiliar to us.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, why is emotional safety so important when we are trying to change a long-standing pattern?
Because emotional safety wins 100% of the time. That it's just hands down. If you're human or an animal, it doesn't matter. Emotional safety comes first because it's our survival. So it's the mechanisms inside of us that say absolutely not. So if you feel unsafe about your next level of success, right? Yeah. If you feel unsafe with that, and you may not know it consciously, but your body knows it, you will move heaven and earth to get in your own way. And people will say, well, how do I know I'm sabotaging? look at your behavior, look at your bank account, look at do you follow through with projects? Do you call people back? Do you do what you say you're going to do, or do you find excuses? I'm too busy, life got in the way. What's going on that's interfering with where you are and where you want to be. So emotional safety, I say, you've heard this phrase, I'm sure. We're wired for safety, not for success, but everybody's going for the huge, the workshops,
Yeah.
coaching programs, and the reading this and doing that and this technique. If it
Yeah.
doesn't make you feel, if you don't feel safe because of something buried, again, it could have been buried from a year ago. It doesn't have to be childhood, right? It could
Right.
have been something from a bad boss, a
Yeah.
negative boss you had that then scared you about what it's like to be on the right team and what it's like to advance. Maybe somebody was really
Mhm.
nasty to you.
Yeah. What do you think the difference is between men and women when it comes to success? I had a career for 30 years in a male-dominated industry, and I found they just went do along, do along, and the women, I'd walk past their desk and I'm like, why are you crying? But the men, they're just like, I don't know. That's how I found it. So
Yeah.
what's your take on that?
My take on it is that women have been told to be quiet,
Mm,
told to stay safe under the radar because someone will be upset. And this is just my impression. Okay. And men have been told to go for it. So it's not that they don't have experiences, maybe that they did something and someone was upset with them in grade school or university
yeah.
or whatever, but they've been given the green light that I don't believe, certainly in my culture, that women have been given in the same way. So they don't have some of the baggage that we have where, oh my gosh, we became let's say a partner in a business and the men were upset. Men don't get upset. It doesn't happen in the same way. That's just my impression, is that they've been given the green light, go for it, have a great time, nobody will be upset. Whereas women are like, be careful. You might be seen as this aggressive. Be careful. Nobody wants the woman at the head of the helm. If you were in corporate for 30 years, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that, and I think you're right. I think, yeah, men are just, I mean, I have three sons and now I'm in a second marriage and I've now have two beautiful daughters and my husband had a son. So now we have six kids. But and the girls are good. The girls are good. But I think you're right. They're not going for it the way the guys are.
And it's changed. So
Yes.
when we were kids, it was very different. And I see
Yes.
my nieces and nephews, and they're different. The girls they're different. They have a different. I think they feel different opportunities than
Yes.
certainly than I did as a kid.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So, well, why do some women struggle to name what they want without immediately thinking about or without immediately thinking about what everyone else needs?
Um, Habit, right? How we're raised and habit. There's a lot of noise there, I think. So you ask someone, well, what do you want? And let's clarify your vision. And they're like, vision? What? Because all the other
Uh,
channels. So it's like having five TVs or five internets open, five computers on in the same room. It's like there's a lot of noise there. And I think, again, how you've been raised, how maybe there are a lot of women who were raised with the right attitude, like go for it, you can have anything you want, definitely name your value, name what your goal is. But I think a lot of them feel their style, cramped. Like, this idea of be careful, this idea of like, well, don't ask for this, don't ask for too much. Don't you know you're supposed to be demure and quiet? And so that's my answer, is there's a lot of noise, because there's a lot of competing noise.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Can you walk us through the basic process of clarifying a goal, identifying the block, and making it emotionally safer to move forward?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So the first thing, clarify your vision, is put something down that's not obvious you're going to make it, like it's coming in the next 6 months, but something that's a stretch. So
Okay.
I would write down something that's a stretch, then ask the questions. Okay. So what the best question to start in that case would be, what's the downside of reaching it? And that's where people say, well, no, there's no down. Well, there is a downside because you keep getting in your way, right? Now, if they say, I'm not in my way, I'm getting there and taking the steps, wonderful. Okay. Then you want to do the tapping. So I would do a tapping round with people and say, well, what do you, if they identify, I'm afraid of feeling exposed, or I'm afraid of, if I do this project, what if it doesn't go well? And that keeps me from taking the steps. So, usually in a project, there's a plan, and, they get to step 3 and then they're like, oh yeah, I got too busy. The kids were something goes on. So then I would do a tapping round, and that brings that anxiety down. So let's say someone is thinking of something in 6 months, being on a stage, getting something published, starting Substack, whatever. And they start to feel anxious when I say, now picture it. That's how you get there. You see, we're all in our heads, but we want to be in our body.
Yes.
Picture being on that stage. Picture holding your book and saying, I finally did it. Picture people coming to your Substack or whatever. And then how do you feel in your body? How's the anxiety? Because that tells us everything. No, I can picture that. I'm walking on stage. I'm about to give a speech, a self-help speech in front of a group. No, that's good. It works. But if you picture it and you feel anxious, you need to do a treatment like the tapping to bring it down, right? That's what'll make you emotionally safe. Here's the other issue that is, I think it is connected to the men-women question as well. We got to stop pushing. Everybody's trying to push through it, work harder, do a few more hours at night, get there a little bit earlier to your day job, in the morning. And pushing tells the nervous system that you're not safe. So it kind of backfires. Now, people can go a long way, Julie, on pushing and on hours and on working harder. But what does it do? It burns us out. It burns out our nervous system. We have hormones that are very, very sensitive. It really interferes with our process in our body, in our biology. So we have to be really careful. So people can get pretty far. You've seen people push and just push ahead and ignore. But then what happens is they're 20 pounds overweight because they don't take lunch at work, or they're barking at their spouse and their kids, or they forgot to take the dog to the vet. Or, all these things fall through the cracks because they've become kind of blind to what needs to happen in the body and in taking care of yourself. I do a lot of work with people. Self-care, self-care, self-care. It's not selfish. We have to do that.
Yes.
So they push and push and push until, guess what? Something happens. It could be as easy as they drop something and break something. It could be a very small breaking point where someone says, I need to go back and do my meditation, my exercise, my taking care of myself. But our lives eventually show us, honestly. Our relationships, our lives, and our bodies show us what's missing. So that's the process. So you do tapping, feel better, calmer, like, oh, I can do that. Then you find out that next step. But if you don't feel safe, you will continually go into this looping cycle of, oh, that was on my to-do list this week. Guess it's next week. And 3 months go by, 6 months go by, and you haven't applied for the fill in the blank, what the next job. You haven't done what you need to do. You haven't researched editors for your book. Something's going on. And that's really the clue. Sometimes we can't see it consciously. We need to go, oh, look at what I'm doing. Clearly there's a problem. We need to look at ourselves. And then you need to find a way to make yourself feel safe. And I don't mean pushing, make yourself, I mean, you need a technique, a body-based technique that says to the nervous system, you can handle this now. I understand 10 years ago, something bad happened at work. I understand when you were a kid, someone yelled at you for being the star in the school play. I mean, the stories that I've heard over the years, anything goes. We are taught how to be afraid. We don't come out afraid. And you've got all your children, exactly. They're not taught to be afraid.
Yes.
If they're given the space in the room, they're quite adventurous.
Yes.
I'm watching my little nieces and nephews, like, I'm not sure I was that adventurous as a kid. All over the place. So
yeah, for sure. What do you think about how do you think our health becomes affected?
So burnout is now its whole own issue and diagnosis, right?
Yes.
Some people feel burned out and it's a low level fatigue, and they wouldn't get diagnosed as that literally from the diagnosis manuals, but you feel fatigued, you feel run down, your sleep habits are interrupted, your eating habits are interrupted, your hormonal system doesn't feel right. So what happens with stress is it builds up. It just builds up until it's up here and you can't take it anymore. And what do? You snap at someone you shouldn't snap at. Maybe that's a small issue. You yell at the kids, you miss a deadline because you literally forgot. I did a class at a conference once about burnout. And this woman said, "Oh my gosh, I forgot my wedding anniversary." And the whole class looked at her and was like, "Oh, that's interesting." She goes, "That's how overworked I am."
Mm-hmm.
The week passed and my husband didn't say anything and I didn't say anything. So we lose track. We're
Yeah.
not thinking straight. So our health is, well, the answer is our health is 100% affected because we're not, the word alignment. Everybody loves talking about alignment. If
Yes.
you're doing one thing, you wish you were doing another, your behavior shows the world that you're scared, you're not all lined up. We want to have a value that we want to help others. We want to do the work we want to do, and we want to take care of ourselves. And if one of those is off, it comes out again. Maybe, I'm in New York City. I don't ride the subway every day, but maybe I only get a cold. If you're around that many people, eventually you're going to get something, right? When I run down, I tend to get a cold. If I'm not run down, you actually can be around me and I'm not going to get your germs, right? To just use an example. So if you're run down, you're not at your best. You're not at your best in how you serve, however you choose to serve other people. And things just don't go smoothly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, it could be as simple. I had a client once who said, "I did the stupidest thing." I said, "What happened?" She goes, "I tripped on a step because I was looking at my phone and carrying groceries at the same time. Fell on a step that I've been over, for years." That's what we do. We're distracted. And something happens and she hurt her knee and her ankle or something. And so it can happen that way, that we're distracted and not paying attention, or it can happen literally. Our immune system is saying, "Hello, Julie, Julie, are you listening to me? Can you hear me now?" So
Yes.
mine always comes in immune system issues. And I had to work on that because I would push harder and work harder and be a people pleaser to the boss and take on more cases. I couldn't do it. My body was like, flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's so important to listen to our bodies. So important. Let's shift the conversation a little bit because now I see that book with the beautiful butterfly on it. And is that a gratitude
That's a
journal?
that's a gratitude book. So
Oh, a
basically,
gratitude book.
I talk about how. So when I started to write it, I was going to do gratitude and EFT, the tapping. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I did all the research on gratitude, and gratitude's not some sweet little cute thing we should do to make us feel better. There's serious research about a consistent practice of gratitude. It lowers
Yeah.
your cortisol. It lowers your stress levels. It releases dopamine levels in your body. It helps you sleep. Like scientific studies. So I combined the science of gratitude and the science of tapping. But the point of the book of Yes, Thank You is, why aren't you doing it? If it's so darn good for you, what's in your way? And I go through my history, which is I had low self-esteem. So I'm not thinking, oh, I get to do this thing that's great for me, right?
Yeah.
Our container is too full. If you're a worrier, and many women, I think, tend to be more worriers than men. If you're a worrier and I was so anxious about my family and who's drinking and how can I help and what can I do, there's no room. There's no more room in that suitcase to put anything else in. So you have to clean it out, take things out, which for me was my emotional work about my hurt and my grief and my betrayal, all those challenging emotions. Then you've got space. Then you help your self-esteem and say, "Hey, I deserve to take care of myself." So many people are like, "Oh, Carol, wouldn't that be selfish?" I'm like, how is that selfish to take care of yourself? Well, then other people, forget other people right now, right? We
Yes.
need to take care of ourselves, or we have no capacity to take care of partners, our homes, our clients that we serve, our children, the dog. We have no space if we can't take care of ourselves. So I combine this. Well, why didn't I do it? How did I become a gratitude person? Why was I blocked? And I do all the tapping exercises to show how you could, people who feel guilty saying no. That's the people pleaser's problem, right? Like, I don't want to say no. I want to say no to anybody, right? So you have to work on those challenges, those yes buts that you have, so that you say, "Everybody out of my way. No phone calls, no anybody. This is my time." I have a practice of gratitude. I have a practice of meditation. I have a practice of tapping every day. And I can't not do those. Those are non-negotiable. But 10 years, 20 years ago, they were extremely negotiable. And that's
Yes.
what we have to change. So
Yeah.
it was really fun to find all the real research about gratitude. That just made that was just exciting. But there's research on tapping, what it does to your cortisol, stress, trauma, all of that. And there's research on gratitude. So I just combined the two, and it was fun. It was exciting.
I think that gratitude can change a person's life. Just being thankful.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think we forget where we live. We forget. It was somebody, and when you said I get to, somebody recently said that a couple months ago. I did an interview with someone, and she was saying, "But we get to do these things." And I thought, oh yeah, instead of feeling like, oh, I got to go load the dishwasher, I should be like, I get to load the dishwasher. Like, how lucky for me that I get to do these things and I
That's
have these
yeah,
resources. And it changes everything when you start to really be thankful. And if you feel like you don't have much in the world, but you have a roof over your head, you have food every day, you have a phone, you have I don't know, just like there's so many things to be grateful for.
absolutely. And that shift in perspective changes how you see the next day and how you see the next day and how you manage problems, let's say challenges, right? But it's also working on your biology. And that's what I didn't know. I literally thought it was a
Mm,
self-help, cute technique. And isn't that wonderful? And that's good. It's working on your biology. It's changing your hormones. It's
yeah.
reducing your stress level. Who doesn't want to reduce their stress levels? I do.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Right. So
Yes.
it's a wonderful, you get the you get the twofold punch where you get to change your attitude and your perspective about your life and the world, and have a better outlook. And you're helping yourself in every part of your body,
Yeah. Well,
physiology.
if someone's listening right now and they're just sitting there going, ladies, you don't know. You don't know. Like, what would you say that they could do something small, something easy that they could do to start, I don't know, using gratitude to start feel more thankful for breathing. I don't know.
Right. So what's really fun is when I do the tapping, I end with a gratitude round. So you tap, so you're
Oh,
accessing the nervous system while you're saying, I'm so grateful for the insights I have. I'm so
mm,
grateful for the food on my table, whatever. If they don't want to do that, if tapping's not their thing, I'm fine with that. Okay.
yeah.
First of all, I got tons of free videos they can go get if they want to. Make a gratitude list at the end of the day or the beginning of
Mm.
the day. These things make me feel appreciation. These things make me feel gratitude. And don't people like, oh, world peace. We're not, nope, we're not going along. We're not doing that. Sometimes I put on my list, I feel grateful I got the laundry done today, right? So what do you truly appreciate? Appreciation,
Mm.
what they say, what you appreciate, appreciate. What you appreciate, appreciates, right? So then you get
Ah,
more,
yes.
right? This is
Yes.
not to negate that some people are going through hell and back. I'm sorry
Yeah.
you're going through that in your relationships or with finances or with something going on with your home. We don't negate that, but you want to make it better. You want to feel a little better, because when you're anxious and stressed out, you're not very resourceful. Your brain does this thing where it goes offline, and you're just panicking and you're just reacting. If you can calm yourself down, which is one of the big reasons I do the tapping, if you can calm yourself down, you suddenly get smarter. Ideas come to you. You start to get information. You start to say, hey, I know someone who could help me with that. But when we're anxious, nothing shows up. Blank. You know
Yeah.
that. You've seen people be anxious. You've seen yourself be anxious and say,
Yeah.
I'm not very resourceful. I'm not really doing my best right now. So
Yeah.
at the very least, use the gratitude to just calm yourself down a little, or the tapping, or both,
Yeah.
and then see what happens and see what changes. You can't do it for one day and say, hey, it didn't work. I've had clients
Right.
say, just come in and say, I did it for one day for 5 minutes, Carol. Really? Then you weren't doing it right if it didn't work, because it works all the time. And you got to do more than one day. Try it,
Yeah.
try it a few
Yes.
times. So if someone's really struggling and in trouble, please get the support that you need, however that is. Free support, paid support. Do what you need to do to give yourself some nice cushion around you. We've all been through a lot. Everybody's
Yes.
been through a lot, going to go through a lot, right? You need support. We all deserve support. But that's part of the problem is people's like, I can't ask for support. Yes, you can. And there are ways to get it.
Yeah. 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 Carol, tell us how you help people and where they can find you.
Well, my newest fun thing is a free YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube
Oh,
and it's at Carol Look Success. Tons of videos there where I show you how to do the tapping. I take you through, oh, why is this bothering you? 8, 10 minutes, like really short. So those are free. You could also go to the yescode.com, the first book, and there are like 9 free videos there. So that's useful too,
beautiful.
which is really fun. And then I'd have a regular private practice still, and then I teach at conferences around the world.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking you up. As soon as I'm done with my podcast today, I'm checking out your free YouTube channel. I think that's so wonderful with our technology that there's so many free resources than ever before to help people now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I,
And then if they need further, they can reach out and get further, but there's just so much. It's almost like there's no excuse to not, you know, just dive in and get more positive or whatever it is that you need to do. So I appreciate that. I'm going to have a look myself. So, Carol, how can a woman stop shaming herself for the coping strategies that once helped her survive?
First, be aware that you're doing that thing you keep doing, that you are shaming yourself, that you're saying, I shouldn't, I, I'm bad, I shouldn't be in that position. The minute you notice it, it kind of ruins for you, changes it for you. There's an old joke in 12-step programs that once someone goes into AA, it ruins their drinking. They go out, they say, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. I just tried it for 3 months. They can never drink. I'm sorry to use this, but it's a
Yes.
really good story. People say they can never drink the same again, right? So once you
Yeah.
notice your shame and say, I'm doing a shaming behavior that I learned from my family, learned
Yeah.
from a teacher or society, I don't want to do that. And would I do it to my daughter? I don't have kids. That's okay. Would you do it to your niece? No. Would you do it to your puppy? No. Then stop doing it to yourself. So the very first thing
Mhm.
you need to do is say, ew, ew, I'm doing that thing that is so habitual for me. I don't even notice it.
Yeah.
Notice it, write it down, get it out of your head on paper, and say, you know what? What could I appreciate about myself? What am I grateful for about myself? Oh, I don't feel grateful about myself. Well, there's something. You're a good friend. You're a loyal friend. You're a good mom. You're a good worker. You cleaned up the bathroom. Something. You've
Yeah.
got something. If you work on it, there's something there. So
Yeah.
being grateful and appreciative of ourselves is a huge psychological and chemical game changer.
Yeah.
Everybody, we're not talking about cutesy self-help techniques. We're talking about biology. And if you
Yeah.
want to make changes, identify the shame, write it down, move it away, and say, what could I do instead? What do I need to do instead? You can call a friend. You could call
Yeah.
somebody. You can
Yeah.
watch a free video on YouTube. You know, there are a lot of things we can do instead of
Yeah.
shaming, but it is a habit. I want everybody to understand. It's like when I worked in the addictions field, food works, alcohol works. That's cigarettes. That's why we use it. They numb us. Well, guess what?
Mhm.
Shame works because it's habitual and you've learned it. So you think, well, why wouldn't I do that? Oh, okay. They learned that. They taught it to me. I don't want to teach it to the next generation or to my colleagues. I'm going to stop doing that. But you've got to be you really have to be sharply aware of it and sharply wanting to change it.
Yes. 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 Oh, Carol, thank you so much. This has just been fabulous. And I know that there is going to be so many people. My audience is mainly women, so I'm going to say women who will learn so much from this short time that we spent together. And still, they can reach out. As I said, I am definitely going to check out your EFT tapping videos, but also your books are there. So there's lots of resources. And for if somebody really wants more, they can reach out to you directly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you, Julie. What a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, well, thank you too. I appreciate it so much. And everybody, thank you for being here for this episode of Women Like Me, Stories in Business. And we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.